Hey there, this is Camera B and we're reviewing The Revenant.
The Revenant is set in 1823 and stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Hugh Glass as he suffers from a horrible bear attack and has to survive to seek vengeance from those who left him for dead.
First of all then, how did you like it?
Loved it. It was brilliant.
What did you know going in?
We saw the trailer in the theatre, which I thought looked fantastic, and it starred Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was directed by the guys whose name I can't pronounce,
Oh right.
who won Best Picture for Birdman.
I was terrified from the trailer. I thought I was going to absolutely hate it, and I went in thinking I'm going to really dislike this film. So should we work through it point by point then? Let's start with cinematography. How did you feel about that?
Fantastic cinematography, just as much as I expected from the same cinematographer as Birdman, and you could definitely sense the same style there.
There were a couple of really amazing shots, like when they're coming out of the boat, walking up the cliff, and the camera tracks them the whole way up. I don't know how they did that, but I really like that.
Yeah, and it seems to be a staple of this particular cinematographer's style as well.
The one complaint that I had is that in one scene, Hugh Glass is climbing out of the horse that he stayed in overnight, and there's a really weird close-up of him with the background all blurred. I didn't like that. That was the only shot in the whole film that I looked at and thought, I don't like that. It feels out of place.
I quite liked it. It felt, because it was blurring out the background, it just felt more raw to see his face only.
But cinematography overall, it was really good.
It was fantastic. It was exactly what I expected from these well-respected directors and cinematographers.
All right then, sound and music. How do we feel about that?
It was pretty good. They used the silence of nature to emphasize the loneliness and the isolation.
They did. The silences were noticeable and made you think about them though as being silent moments, which I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
I thought it felt natural. It felt like you were actually there in the wilderness because you wouldn't be hearing anything else.
But sound, yeah, it was good. It was good throughout.
It was, yeah.
I don't remember the soundtrack particularly.
No, it wasn't a particularly memorable soundtrack, but sometimes that's good.
I think it worked at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right then, next thing we usually talk about, script. It was good.
It was pretty good, yeah. Can't find any faults with it, but I never felt like the script was particularly hard-hitting.
No, I know what you mean, but I kind of like the fact that some of the characters held back from talking sometimes, and it was more of an emotion in the scene, kind of thing. But I wouldn't find any faults with it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go from script then to acting, and I thought there were some great performances in this.
Fantastic performances, particularly by Tom Hardy. Unfortunately, Tom Hardy has a tendency in some of his roles to basically mumble his lines. And so some of what he was saying was very difficult to interpret.
Yeah, it was, but even in those moments, you still could get the meaning from what he was saying.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have a problem with that. It worked for me.
It was very good. You could watch it in silence and just watch his face and you knew exactly what he was talking about.
So the only character I wasn't sure about, I don't know if it's an acting thing or not, was Andrew Henry, the captain guy.
Yeah.
I just wasn't convinced by that.
I was convinced by his acting, but I feel like his accent wasn't quite right.
Maybe that's what did it for me then.
It sounded like a British guy doing an American accent.
Yeah.
Which, it is in the 1823s, so perhaps it is just the fact that he is a British guy and he is doing an American accent. But unfortunately, it did bring me out of the film a little bit.
Okay, so we need to talk about the big performance here. Leonardo DiCaprio. What do you think?
I think Leo sold it very well, but 90% of his acting was screaming.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, it's been talked about a lot, the acting in this film, and I kind of went in expecting him to have a standout role. And the fact that he didn't, he was overshone by maybe other characters in it, was a bit of a disappointment for me.
I completely agree, because there's been a lot of talk about Leo getting an Oscar this year. So yeah, I was also expecting a very good performance from him, but I think he performed much better in lots of other roles than in this particular movie.
Some of the scenes where he wasn't saying anything I thought were really good. When he'd been attacked by the bear and he was lying there in pain, there were moments that I couldn't look. Not because of the gore or anything, just because of the attitude and the emotion in that scene.
He did very well with his silent acting, particularly in the scenes when he's talking to Fitzgerald and he can't talk and he just acts with his eyes and his face. Brilliant there.
It just, I don't know, the whole performance overall didn't come together as something that was absolutely standout amazing for me, which I kind of expected it to.
Yeah, same here.
Rest of the supporting characters then, I think everybody did a good job, really.
Yeah, they did. The supporting cast didn't get much attention. They're just supporting, so.
Yeah, but they did a good job.
They did, yeah.
Okay, well, from acting then, move on to pace and plot. Now, I was sitting in the film thinking the whole way through, this is so perfectly paced. What are they going to do to mess this up? And I expected it right until the end. When they didn't, I expected it to go wrong. I just thought it was perfectly paced.
I do feel like they stretched out the middle of the film, and it was beautifully shot, and it wasn't like I was getting bored, but I do feel like somehow they could have made it tighter. Thinking back on it, it was probably a good decision anyway, because it does accentuate the stretched out time that Leo was experiencing.
Yeah, that's what I would say. That middle bit where he's making the journey, he's trying to catch up with everybody. How that would have felt, you imagine, as the character is like a stretched out period of time. And so I thought it really took you into that, and I loved that. Plot-wise then, I really enjoyed the plot. I thought I was going to hate it going in, but I thought the story was really strong.
It was fantastic, yeah. I couldn't find any faults with it. A simple plot, but a very well done plot.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of expected to question the whole bear attack scene more than I did. I thought, well, they should have shot him earlier on, that sort of thing. But watching it, this is what I expected from the trailer, but watching it, I had no complaints with it at all.
I couldn't find any faults with it. And also, amazing how they did that.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that.
No. Very well behaved bear. That's what it is. So going from that then, the rest of the film really, it continued as strong as that. I mean, the main beats, so early on you have the first fight where people are coming in, that set it off strongly into the boat, going out into the wilderness. It all flowed really nicely.
You did, yeah.
The only sort of point that when it happened, I thought, oh, okay, the son dying, that sort of felt a bit contrived. But then I thought, actually, no, because in that situation, Fitzgerald is so desperate just to get back to everybody else. He would do that. He's panicking.
Yeah, it was perfectly within his character. And really, if I was him, I couldn't think of any other way to do anything else. And there was an interesting bit wherein Fitzgerald is saying to Glass, blink your eyes if you want to just die. Mm. And of course, throughout that entire scene, I was trying to keep my eyes open in order to see if Glass could do it. But I blinked multiple times before Glass did. And so, of course, it makes you question the fact whether or not he just blinked or if he finally gave in.
I sensed from that he was giving in the way he blinked. It looked like it was really deliberate. But then I thought, maybe not. And you don't know, and you're not supposed to know, are you?
Exactly, yeah.
So like I say, with the pace thing, I kind of expected that it was going to peter out a bit towards the end. I thought it was going to be okay, we've been running for 2 hours now, we've got to tidy everything up nicely. But I even found that the ending was really nicely paced and a really good plot to it.
It was, yeah. I do feel like the fact that he saved the Native American's daughter simply to be a Chekhov's gun, really.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean that wasn't central to the story, was it? I didn't have a problem with it. It was one of those things that he was alone in that situation. He saw somebody else that was in trouble. He rescued them, and that's okay. I'm happy enough with that.
Yeah.
And it set up that ending, which I really liked. The fact that there was peace between the two in that moment where they ride past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you get the feeling that Native Americans are just attacking and just raiding. Mm. But as the film progresses and towards the end, you can see that really they just want to have peace.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it ends. I really like that. All right then, so time for overall thoughts. I loved it.
I did as well. Lovely, lovely film. Beautiful film is the main thing I would take away from that. If you want to see a film that is beautiful, very well shot, and also emotionally gripping, see this film. Yeah,
you come out of it completely satisfied.
Yeah, you have to work hard to find faults in this film.
Yeah. So would you pay to see it again?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I think seeing it in the cinema a second time would be beneficial. On that big screen, being able to take it all in. It's also something I think I would probably watch at home.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If nothing, simply for the fact that it's such a pretty film.
Well, that's it for this episode of Camera B, but we'll be back at the same time next week to review another film. You can find out more by going to h9blog.com/camerab. You can find our audio podcast on iTunes, and of course you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.